Pridders, is that true?
What true?
Pridders is super chatted right at the start, right? Now I've seen the article. I know what you're referring to. Warcom told me today that models can move through the engagement range of other models in the movement phase. Can't box them in anymore. Is that true? Is it the same mistake?
Only if it's got the fly keyword.
Is it the same mistake on the? Oh, I haven't read it because
you literally can't.
We can't read.
No, I said you literally can't. I said as in you literally cannot move through the engagement range of other models.
No, I know, which is what was printed in White Dwarf previously.
Yeah.
But is it true? That's what I want to know. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining us on this fine. Is it Thursday? Is it Thursday?
It is a day.
Thursday afternoon. Just about fine Thursday afternoon.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Liam and Joe Show. Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful week. Thank you for joining us, you wonderful humans. It is day 2 of October, which means we're now back to, well, yesterday we were back to 0 on the revenue score.
Yeah?
Yeah. So it's all
the begging starts again.
The begging starts again. Joe's little cap will come out. Look what I have here, Joe, behind you.
My Pickle Rick outfit.
Pickle Rick outfit.
They can't really see it. They can just see a real shiny mass.
The glare's a bit bad, isn't it? They just put his White Dwarf article on Warcom. Are you serious? Have they literally printed the wrong rules again? Oh my God, the incompetence of this fucking company.
What?
Well,
the Academy or the one that's printed it?
The one that's printed it.
Okay.
Well, both, quite frankly. You've got a company that's going to charge you to learn the rules and literally print them wrong. Yeah. And then you've got a company whose game it is who continues to print the wrong rules despite the fact they're the ones that wrote the rules in the first place. Incompetence at its finest. Talking of incompetence, how are you, Joe?
I'm not going to answer that question. I'm all right. The numbers on this are really, really small. Like,
is that the new Kill Team Necron stuff?
Yeah, like aggressively small.
Which is a bit like the old, what's it called?
Into the, like Gallo Dark or whatever it was called.
Yeah, the one that was for boarding actions. Essentially, your chair's quite noisy today.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Mine's not. Look, mine's fine.
Yeah,
it's probably a weight limit issue.
My biggest gripe with this Necron stuff is it's not compatible with the boarding action stuff. It's the same but different, you know. I would like to have seen some pieces where you have half the wall is the Space Hulk stuff, and then the other half is the Necron. So there's like a transition between the two. Maybe someone can 3D print me one.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not the same article, chat. Hopefully it's been updated and corrected. Yeah. Makari's wank sock. Thank you for the one gift.
But you could understand GW's perspective of like, this is this person's job to teach people. We'd assume that they know the rules.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah. But I think the problem is the person that knew the rules left.
But to be fair, if you're going to print something, you're probably going to check it first.
Let's be honest, right? We can't be surprised by the company that shows it's never proofread.
Fair,
it's never proofread.
Touche. Anyway,
yeah.
Rather than speaking about that today, we're going to talk about some competent tournament players. That normally play more than 2 games. So this last weekend was a big event. It was, in fact, the biggest tournament in the UK tournament calendar.
It's also the biggest tournament that's ever been.
I doubt that with LVO.
It's bigger than LVO. This year was bigger than LVO. They did an interview, so the people that run LVO and people that run...
Is that
LGT,
true?
Yeah,
Bigger than LVO?
1,090 players.
LGT, this last
LGT,
weekend?
yeah.
I thought LVO had been bigger than that in the past.
LVO is normally bigger, but LGT is bigger this year. And I think it's basically, they said that just obviously the game is bigger, more popular now in the country than it's ever been, but also the UK is smaller, so it's easier to get more people there.
Oh, wow. Well, I'll take it then. So the biggest event ever, LGT London Grand Tournament this last weekend.
Yeah.
And our group chat was alive with chatter about the tournament and the weekend, because, of course, for Joe and I specifically, 40k is quite literally our life. At the same time, Paddy's pretty obsessed, Tom's pretty obsessed.
Paddy's obsessed with winning.
So it's not difficult for those to get caught up in what's going on and to look at lists and to look at who's playing who. And there is almost always at the biggest tournaments now a lot of live coverage that goes on the YouTubes. I think it was covered by Joe and War Games Live this last weekend, wasn't it?
It was covered by like the UKTC channel. And it was
Yeah.
also covered by Joe from War Games
If you
Live,
get a
which I
chance-
watched his channel. 'Cause his
Yeah, if you
channel's
get a
better.
chance, watch Joe because it's entertaining. War Games Live as a channel, you want to go hit subscribe right now because tonight at stupid o'clock in the morning UK time, I think our very own John McArdle's on the War Games Live stream.
Yeah.
As they do a test stream before the event weekend. I'll message John. Actually, I'll message John now and see if he can get me a link, and I'll put it in the video description for tonight. Because one, we like to go and support John. So all you people that are in America land and awake, or you insomniacs, you can go and support John.
Yeah.
But also, War Games Live are just good people as well. So let me see if I can.
The quality of the stuff that Joe does is really, really good. He flew from America land to England, and with his entire stream set up, which is like multiple like PTZ cameras, top down. He's got like, I think all four corners of the table has a sliding like webcam on it as well,
Yeah.
so you can get all the shots. It's really, really good. Flew all the way to England with it, and then obviously had to, and then did Friday and Saturday. Didn't leave halfway through Saturday. Continued to stay all the way through to Monday to do the top 8 and the final. Then flew back to America to drive 500 miles to Nevada.
Absolute baller, isn't he?
Yeah, right. Didn't give up once. Well,
I found War Games Live this past weekend. It was great. Yeah. Joe and War Games Live are great. They're the people to watch for tournaments. And like I said, John will be on the stream tonight. So I just asked him for a link as soon as John wakes up in Vegas land, probably surrounded by hookers and
maybe
blow.
everyone to sleep.
Yeah. Then I'm sure we'll get the link. I'll also give you a bit of a warning. Today and tonight, I have my wonderful, glamorous assistant next to me. There might be times where I get Joe to do a lot of talking because my voice is fucked.
Yeah? What have you
I don't
been
know
doing?
why. I don't know why, Joe. It's just I'm just dying slowly.
I could give one of your responses. Like, you've been putting too many things in there. Too much kissing club, that's your problem.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Not today, though.
No.
Not going to Kissing Club today. So anyway, like I said, LGT was this last weekend, right? We see apparently the biggest ever tournament. We see the best of the best competing at the top tables. And you people did actually watch them. Well, you specifically.
I think I watched every single game. I didn't watch them all when they were live at the time. Some of them I watched when they were live, some of them I watched after, just because life.
Now, Joe's been pushing this thing since this last weekend, which, and I say this thing because I'll explain it. And I don't think he's entirely wrong. There's a rhetoric that exists at the moment in the world of Warhammer that tournament players ruin Warhammer 40k. Now, yes and no, in my opinion. I think there is a lot of changes that get made to the rules for competitive purposes, which do make the game slightly less fun, slightly less narrative, slightly less engaging. That's my opinion. That's not tournament players that are the problem. That's Games Workshop pandering to tournament players that's the problem. So I don't blame them for that. There's also the story, I've heard a multitude of stories that people have come up to an opponent or come up against an opponent at a tournament and had a flat shit time because of the type of opponent they've come up against.
Yeah.
And they blame tournament players and players that are trying too hard to win. And I definitely can see that being a thing.
Yeah.
However, Joe will tell you, he can talk about his experience watching the very top tables this last weekend, and the fact that actually at the very top tables, that's not a thing.
It's a very different game.
Yeah.
It's so different. So like when Joe does the streams, he, like most tournament streamers, will mainly cover the people on the winning streak, right? So it's always the people on the path. The path to victory people tend to be there, and the quality of players that he has on there is always insane. But what I noticed over very late on Saturday night when they're doing like the top cut, like drafts and stuff to go to like the top 32, and then when they do the cut for the top 8, it's like the game that they're playing is not the same game that we're doing. And I was like, I want to be playing this version of the game when I go to tournaments, because what you'll find is like when people do their turn, their game turn, they go, it's my turn, what are my secondaries? And then they'll start moving stuff, and then they'll start shooting. They'll just do their turn like we normally do. But when you watch competitive, like top high-end competitive players, the amount of talking that both players do together and come to agreements and decisions is like mind-blowing, to the point where I'm like, I want to do this more. Because what tends to happen is they get their secondaries, and then both people they'll start measuring, they'll start talking, and the guy whose turn it is, or the active player will go, my plan for this turn is to do this. This is my intent for this turn, right? And we'll come back to intent in a minute.
Intent's an interesting topic in itself, isn't it, to be fair?
And my intent's to do this, and then they'll go, and then both players will figure out together by measuring and going, if I go here, if I do this, and then the other person will be like, cool, if you went there, this is how I'd react to it. These are the tools that I have to either stop you from doing that, or I can't stop you from doing it. And quite often they'll have spare bases. No models will get moved until the player's happy with their turn. So the best example is like knights, for instance. Because what will happen, right, is you'll have someone's turn and they'll pick up their knight and then they'll measure and then they go like that and they'll go, oh, I don't know. And then they'll move it back and then, okay, what if I go this way and then that way? And then, oh, what if I go that way and they'll move it that way? And then what happens is that when they've finished their movement, the knight's over here somehow. It doesn't even have them to do it because you can...
Yeah, Brom.
You can never put a model back in the exact spot it came from, right? I think Joe on War Games Live was saying, like, due to the law of like thermodynamics, you literally cannot have something in the same place it was before.
Am I not right in thinking that and I don't know if this is just me like crossing different games, but I was sure that in previous versions of the game, once you let go, in competitive versions,
it's chess rules basically.
In competitive versions of chess rules, once you let go, that's done.
That's it. It's there now.
Yeah.
So there's a guy, someone in the chat said, like, some guy bought a spare knight. And then some people will bring spare bases. Because then what happens, if you've got a spare base, you don't have to move that model at all, right? Yeah. And it keeps you honest, right? Mm-hmm. And it stops your opponent going like, I don't trust you. So by having spare bases, even like 40mm bases, you can measure and go there. You go, if I put it there, what can I see? And you go, well, if I put that there, I can see that, I can see that, I can see that. And then you go to your opponent, well, how do you feel about that? Right?
How do you feel about that?
But do you agree that I can see that? And then they'll have a look and they'll be like, I don't think you can. You say, okay, what if I place it here? And they'll be like, okay, you can see it there. And they're like, cool. So what I can do is I can move it there and it'll be fine and we've agreed. And then if you've got the spare base, you can measure charges and stuff. So before you've even moved a model, you know what you can shoot, you know what you can charge, and you know what you can fight. And both players have agreed on it, right? So it's not like when you have like I'm 18 inches away, I move like 10 with an advance because I know I can charge. And then you do all your shooting, and then you go to charge, and you go, cool, it's like a 6-inch charge. And you're like, where's that distance come from?
Yeah.
It's like, well, you saw me measure it. It just stops those arguments. And there's also me and Tom tried to do it on Tuesday, and I was like, if you charge and you put your model there, I will react like this, which completely fucks your plan. Put it somewhere else if you don't want that to happen.
Somewhere else.
Right? And he's like, cool, because it's just like, I'd be like, I don't want to, at the real top end of competitive gaming, they don't want to win by their opponent making mistakes. They want to win by both players playing the best game that they can, right? And if someone does forget or someone does make a mistake, they go like, look, how do we, like, you can completely get rid of mistakes and stuff by having the discussion before you. And then what happens is once all the decisions being made and the thinking and the talking, which can take like 5 to 10 minutes, right? The actual turn takes no time at all. You go, cool, I'll move it there, roll my shooting, because we've already agreed that I can do it. You do your saves, and then you go, well, we've already talked about charging. I'm still going to do my charge. We know how far that is, roll, and then do the attacks. And it just kind of flies by. It's really good. And like Scary was playing, and it's like by playing at this level and playing with this level of intent is really good. But the importance of playing by intent is that you actually, this is what I intend to do, and then you do it, right? You don't use the phrase intent to cover up mistakes.
Which is definitely something I've experienced.
Yeah.
I've experienced people using it as a catch-all. Oh, I intended to do that. I did say I intended to do that. I'm like, yeah, but that's not what you did.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's like, you're like, oh, I moved over
lottery
here to shoot, and you go, oh, well, you intended to shoot, and you've put your model there, but you haven't turned your model in such a way that it can shoot around a corner. And I'd be like, yeah, just turn the model and it's fine. But if someone goes, oh, I've moved over here, and then I move there, and I'm going to charge, and then they shoot and kill that unit, and they go, okay, I'm just going to move my model over here anyway. It's like, well, no, because like you didn't do it in the right order.
Yeah.
You know, you shot them and killed them. And it's just stuff like that. Like if someone goes like, oh, I've moved my model onto this objective, I didn't shoot, I didn't charge, I didn't do anything, but I was going to cleanse because my secondary's cleanse. It's like, well, clearly you didn't say I'm going to cleanse, but the model's there to do the thing.
It's quite like the intent's very obvious at that point.
And it's just like, don't use intent as a way to cheat, essentially.
So there's a couple of big ones that I've noticed, for example. So that we joke quite a lot about the being an inch away from the wall.
Yeah.
Right? If you're unaware, chat, if you're inside a ruin and you're an inch away from the wall, for a lot of models, it's impossible to place a model in base contact inside that ruin with your unit, which means that they can't get an engagement range. And if they're the other side of the wall, because they're more than an inch away because of the thickness of the wall, they can't be in engagement range.
Yeah.
So by doing that, you essentially make your unit unchargeable through that ruin, and your opponent would have to go round the outside. And that's why we talk about being an inch away from the wall. Now, what I've seen people do is I've seen people clamber models into a ruin and say the intent is they're an inch away, with no real attempt to actually be an inch away.
Yeah.
Which causes two problems. The first one is you often see as many models cramped in that ruin as physically possible so they all get cover, right? We go, well, actually, if you were an inch away, less models would be in cover right now.
Yeah.
And I might be able to get line of sight to you, or you'd get less cover saves. The other thing as well is if you're going to then measure from where your model physically is when you come to moving later, well, you've just gained an inch of movement.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you all think, but if you ask my wife specifically, an inch makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And also, like, by discussing your intent, discussing what you're doing that turn, it prevents gotcha moments.
Yeah.
Right? And gotcha moments, like, if you're like my intention of gotcha moments has changed over the years, and it's like if you use gotcha moments to screw over your opponent, you're probably not a good person. Right. But there is a limit to it, right, as well.
If there's a gotcha moment that happens on the stream where you can watch fucking Brom's face fall out of his ass because that's hilarious.
Yeah, we do it because we do fun gotcha moments on the channel because we are creating a moment. You know, we're creating entertainment. But
that's what we call it anyway.
Yeah, we call it entertainment. Some people say that we're just fucking shit frat boys. But but I think when you're playing at a tournament, if you're withholding information from your opponent, especially if your opponent's asked you questions about stuff.
I've heard stories of people walking up to a table and going, here are my stratagems, here are my gotcha moments, this are the things I can do. I'm only telling you about it once. If you ask me again, tough, because I've told you once.
I think
at that point, I'd be like, I'm packing these back away.
I think if you're playing a game and you're 5 turns in and you've told your opponent
that's different.
4 times in a row, every turn that you can do a thing, it gets to a point where you're like, I've told you a million times, I'm gonna do it. But it's like, but if it's like the first couple turns, or even the first time it's come up in that game and you're in turn 4, you go, if you move there, I can react in this way. And the opponent goes, and you go to your opponent, you have to do a thing. I just want you to be aware that I can do it and I will do it. So put that into your plan of how you're going to spend your resources.
There is also a world where people will use that as kind of a double bluff.
Yeah.
Like, just to let you know, I could Overwatch, and what they're saying is, I don't want to use Overwatch, but I really don't want to move there.
But the thing is, though, you can tell from the start of the game, when you're talking to someone and playing with someone, that what their own personal intent is in using those moments, right? If you and your opponent are communicating from the moment you get to the table, like what your stratagems are, what your army does, what your characters can do, who goes in where, what your kind of threat ranges are, when your opponent goes, like, oh, I can do this, you're like, okay, well,
fuck you.
I have to do it. But if your opponent's like doesn't tell you anything and then goes, oh, I can do this, right?
I'm not buying them a beer then.
Yeah. Lostel says it sounds like a boring way to play.
What does?
This game, I guess.
What sounds like a boring way to play? Explain, please.
By talking to your opponent, I guess. Like, I think, like, if you're playing with your mates and you both played the same armies for ages, right? You're just playing with your mates, right? But we're talking about, like, the concept that there are tournament players get a really bad rep.
And there are people that justify that reputation.
Yeah. And I've played against people where I'm like, you're part of the problem.
Yeah, Tom, Paddy.
And I've played people at tournaments that are great, and I've played people at events. Literally, it's round 1. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, and they've already got the beers in. And I'm like, okay, I understand why you're here, all right? And you just have fun, right? And you can have fun doing it that way. But I think we need to stop pointing the blame at all tournament players, because when you watch the real bleeding edge of competitive 40k, they're not playing the same game that you're playing, right? They're playing a game because they want to win and they want to be the best, but they're doing it the best way possible.
Considering what you've talked about, though, do you not perhaps also think that the rule set in itself causes a lot of the problems? Because the rule set itself has a monumental number of gotchas that exist, and equally they have a monumental number of rules that essentially do the same thing but are called something different.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, that for the most part, if we, dare I say this, went back down some sort of universal special rule kind of route, for the most part, when you go, oh, well, I've got redeploy. Because let's face it, who calls the rule by its name? Who calls it the specific stratagem in the Eldar Codex? Who just calls it I've got a redeploy?
Yeah.
Who calls it I've got armor of contempt?
I've got uppy downy.
I've got sticky.
Yeah.
So as a community, we've already gone down this route of, for the most part, coming up with a universal special rule name for the thing anyway. Yeah. I've got sticky objectives, I've got uppy downy, I've got armor of contempt, I've got a redeploy, I've got Lord of the Sea. Because actually, it makes it easier to tell your opponent, oh, just so you know, that unit can uppy downy.
Yeah.
Right? Which is a terrible name, by the way.
Yeah, it is Charles, but I also love it at the same time. It's like...
But it means people know exactly what you can do.
The problem is, right, I think as humans, we will always try and find shortcuts, right?
Yeah, we're naturally lazy.
We are naturally lazy. Universal keywords are a great part of that. If Games Workshop won't give us a keyword, we'll make it ourselves, right? And it just becomes known that way. What was Necron Dracurian attachment?
Yeah.
Necrons were the first codex to get their own detachment of a thing, and then basically whenever people used a detachment, it didn't matter what army they were running, they were like, oh yeah, I'm running my Dracurian version of that, right?
Yeah.
And it just got known like that. So we'll always find a way. Even Age of Sigmar has started using uppy downy on units that have a redeploy.
Yeah.
And they're but sometimes there's different types of uppy downy. So you're like, well, I've got uppy downy in my movement phase, I've got uppy downy in the command phase, I've got uppy downy in that. People just know what you're talking about. Right?
Yeah. I think there is a level though as well, because I think there's being clear as to what you can do, and then there's teaching your opponent to beat you.
Yeah.
And I think there is a line to be drawn between those two. And I'm not suggesting for a minute that you walk up to the table and at every given opportunity where your opponent does something that you probably want him to do, you tell him you don't want to do that, because there's no real point, is there, at that point?
Yeah, but I think it's like when I played Tom on Tuesday, right? I basically lost the game for myself because I told him, because he was using the same unit of warp talons to basically rapid ingress, charge in his turn, kill something in mine, and then go into reserve. And basically, he did a charge where basically I did a heroic intervention and then put myself into another unit, knowing I could then, after his unit's fought, I could then pile in and touch his one so we can't leave the table.
Yeah, because they can't be within engagement range.
Because they can't be in engagement range. And I was like, if I do this, I shut down that unit, right? But it's Tom's first game with Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's different.
So I'm gonna be like, this is what you need to look out for.
But I think that's one, different because it's his first game with Chaos Space Marines in your mates. I think it's two, it's different because we're on a stream and there's a level of education to it. I wouldn't be as bold as to call it an academy because I'm not a dick. But there's a level of we're showcasing things and teaching people what they can do at the same time. Having said that, this is where I think for me there's an interesting differentiation. Because I think that in a tournament setting, heroically intervening isn't a hidden tactic, nor is it a gotcha moment. It's literally a core stratagem.
Yeah, if it's a core rule.
So I think at a tournament, if he'd have played that same play, I wouldn't at that point have said, are you sure you want to do that? Because I can heroically intervene here and I can stop your warp talents from going up.
Yeah.
That's one of those moments where I'd go, heroic intervention is a core stratagem. You know I can do it because it's a core stratagem. You can do it too.
Yeah.
So at that point, I'd let him do his move and I go, I'm going to heroic intervene.
Yeah.
And then that's part of me playing a strategy and being a good player.
Yeah, that's
So
not.
this is
not
where
a
I think it's.
gotcha moment.
Yeah, this is where I think it's. Like, I think it's good we did it on stream and we showcased what you could have done.
Yeah.
But I think that in an actual competitive game at top tables, that's one of those moments where honestly, I probably wouldn't have said anything.
And the thing is, though, Tom should know because the amount of times I've tried to bait him and tried to get him to do matches, and then just heroically intervened with a unit from behind a wall.
Was going wee.
Yeah, because it's how I have fun.
Yeah, but you know that's my point. Like that one's a core strat. It's like Overwatch. For me, Overwatch is a core strat.
Yeah.
If I move somewhere and someone goes, "I'm going to Overwatch you," and I go, "Oh no, I'm going to move back then because I should know about Overwatch." It's a fucking core stratagem.
Yeah.
We all have access to it. And I think that's why I think there is a line to be drawn. And I think I've not watched these top tables, but I think it would be interesting to see whether they also differentiate between things like this is faction specific to G Cult.
Yeah.
So for example, if I come up on a table and a player goes, "Have you played G Cults before?" and I go, "No, never," and they gave me a couple of the gotcha moments. Cool, thanks very much.
Yeah.
I'm different though because I'm also never going to be anywhere near a top table.
Yeah.
So the last time I played G Cult, I walked up to the table. He said, "Have you ever played G Cult before?" I was like, "No." He went, "Do you want me to take you through what they could do?" Because there's a few gotchas. Like it's game 3 on the fucking Saturday.
Yeah.
I was like, "Fuck it,
Yeah.
we've got beer. Let's just go for it, and I'll find out when it happens." He's like,
Yeah.
"Are you sure?" I was
But
like,
that's
"I'm not here to win."
But that's all part of the conversation that you have, right, at the
Yeah.
start of the game. Like you're going into that game. A guy's offered you the chance to receive information.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And you've gone, nah, I'm all right.
It's the same guy
Yeah.
you played at Hellstorm on stream with the Drakari, I think.
Tom,
Yeah,
I want to say Lohman.
yeah.
If that rings a bell.
Top fucking lads.
Yeah,
Really nice guy.
Great lad. We had a great game. We had a great time. And but it was very much a case of like you've had a conversation at the start and you've established how you're going to play that game. And I think like that's important. Keith Rogers says pre-game chat is important because if your opponent's just stood there dead quiet and like puts their stuff down and they're like, "Do you know anything about my army?" and they're like, "Oh, I can do this, 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 and this," and they don't give you much information, and you're talking to them and they continue to not give you much information. You go, "Cool, I know how you're going to behave," and then you choose how you're going to behave.
Pre-game chat is important, but there's definitely a line to draw. Like, there's definitely there are times, like, there's people that go, "Cool, just so you know, that unit can do this, like, uppy downy, that unit's got sticky, that unit can intervene for free, that unit can overwatch for free, that unit's really fucking good at killing marines, that unit's really fucking good at killing vehicles." I'm like, banging, cool, happy days, no worries.
Yeah.
And then there's the people that will go, "Cool, so this unit, move 6, toughness 4, I'm like, fuck off, I don't care. I don't want to spend the first hour and a half of my 3 hours talking through your army."
Well, you can get that information whilst you're playing, right?
Well, exactly.
Like that's what the importance of like at the start of I think in the command phase you go, "Cool, I moved this far, I can do this," and whilst your opponent's going, "I can move 12, I can do this, I can do that," you could go like, "Cool, I'm planning how I'm going to react in their turn, right? To these things." But yeah, I think like. There are bad people at tournaments. We were saying that me and Tom were talking about it on Tuesday. I said like, there's situations going into the final round I don't want to be in. Sometimes, the worst situation going into the final round is in like a 5-round tournament and you're 2-2. You've got 2 wins and 2 losses, right? Because that person you're going to meet at the table is a hell of a fucking lottery. Right, of what kind of person they're going to be. Sometimes they're like super chill, don't care, and they're like, "Oh, I've had a really good time, 2-2, to have a fun final game. You know, we have a nice chill game before we go home because it ultimately doesn't matter. You know, because we're not going to win the tournament when you're 2-2." But sometimes you will meet people that do give the tournament players a bad name, and they're like, "I have to go positive. You know, I have to win this game. I have to be able to go home and tell people that I went 3-2, not 2-3, you know, because the side, the which way round that 3 and that 2 goes is massively important to that person and their own like self-decided social importance.
On the rare occasion that I've played 5 games, I typically go 3-2. When I went to Beachhead, I went 3-1 because I only played 4 games because I only wanted to play 4 games, and Beachhead is a format that allows you to do that. But I've also had plenty of tournaments, although I typically go 3 and 2, I've had plenty where I go 2 and 3. And honestly, going 3 and 2 or going 2 and 3, do you know the difference it makes to me?
Nothing.
Literally fuck all.
I'm like, if I'm at this point, I'm not winning the tournament. I don't really care. You know, if you're going into the final round and you're both 4 and 0, and this is literally a decider who probably podiums, you probably both know that you're probably in it to win it.
Yeah, of course. It's different, though, right?
But it's different. But you go like, but then obviously you have that pre-talk, and like me and Paddy have the same mentality sometimes when we play against someone, and we're like, oh, you really want to win this. You want to win this more than I want to win it. And Paddy is notorious for going, I don't really care. You know, I just put my stuff into the middle when I want to go home.
Well, that's just you. And then he'll just make sure he flattens you anyway.
Yeah. Just how many players went 0 and 5? A lot, I imagine. It's like 1,000 players over 5. Because the tournament ends after 5 games, and then they take like the top 32 players and then break that down, and then they play off until there's a top 8, and then the top 8 undefeated then play against each other. Yeah, but it's because there's so many players.
I get it, but it still sounds awful, Joe.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like fun for me.
Like, I think on Saturday, I think they played 5 to 6 games in one day to break them down to get... Because they want an overall winner, right? They want a very definitive, this person is the top, you know?
Which I get it. I do, but I wouldn't want to be there.
Yeah.
Which I don't think there's any risk, so we're fine, but I wouldn't want to be there.
But part of me is like, I'd love to try. I'd love to try and do it once to say... Because like I've done... Like, this is not bragging. Right?
It is. It's about to be. If it says that, it's about to be a brag.
I've had an RTT win, right?
Brag.
I've had a GT win.
Brag.
And I'm like... And after I kind of got a couple of GT wins, I was
brag.
A couple. I'm like, I'm not overly fussed anymore.
Brag.
You know. But I'm like, but now there was an award for most fun guy. Softest lips award, right?
Brag.
But now I'm like, I might try and
Minimum 5 brags in there, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just like, but it's okay if you want to do that. It's okay to do it. The problem is what we've got with Paddy, and I like throwing shade at Paddy, so I'm going to do it anyway. Is that he wants to win all the time because he's chasing that GT win now. He doesn't want that 4 and 1. He doesn't want that 3 and 2. He wants that big 5-0.
Every time I think I wanted to give it a go, every time I think I want to start getting competitive, I start treading down that competitive path. And it doesn't take me long before I go, this is miserable and not how I want to play 40k.
But I think it's also very much a case of like the people that you encounter along the way.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe. But it's just the mindset of, with 10th specifically, I think it's worse.
Yeah.
It's the mindset of, I have to be able to do these objectives. I have to, and the best thing to do is make sure I've got a captain in every Space Marine unit. I'm not saying this is the actual truth, just for example, right? Or my orc army needs to have minimum 6 war bosses to be any good.
Yeah.
And I just can't get my head in that headspace.
Well, and that's fine. So you don't have to do it. Like I think it's all about mentality. At the end of the day, people have to decide when they go to tournaments: do I want to win? How do I want to win? And sometimes it's a case of like, how do I want to be perceived in my win? Right? Because you can win your way to the top by being a massive arsehole. Right? But the problem is, that is a win, but also people probably aren't gonna like no one's gonna be celebrating with you.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas when you look at like the LGT, like when you're in the top 8, it's a like winner stays on kind of situation.
I think I'm just moving towards. I think I'm just moving towards wanting to just have. Like I was talking to Joe pre-stream chat about his idea, not my idea, to do a New Year, New Army with at least me, him, and Tom.
Yeah.
There might be other people involved, and I'm here for it. And I feel like it could be a cool thing to track and progress and have some games. And then I started thinking, actually, this could be a cool way of starting to do narrative campaigns with these armies that we're building specifically for next year. And I'm really excited by it. But I started talking to Joe earlier about essentially banning named characters and restricting things like how many captains and war bosses. So I'm looking at doing Ultramarines. I'm getting a head start now because we all know how slow I am. Joe's looking at doing Orcs. Tom's thinking about doing Red Corsairs. How cool would it be if the story followed a Space Marine captain, an Orc war boss, and a Chaos Lord? It's a lot cooler than following Gaz, Gulliman, and Abaddon.
Yeah.
It just is a lot cooler, I think, for content specifically. And there is a world where one of those characters gets so mortally slain that they don't come back in that particular campaign.
Yeah.
And we put him to one side. That kind of narrative's cool. I think it's less easy to do that with things like a named character. And I think about that, and that gets me really fucking excited. And then I think about going and playing 87 games at LGT to find out who's the king of the sweatiest nerds, and that doesn't get me excited at all.
Yeah.
It's preference. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the latter.
Like you said, that is preference and that's personal choice.
Nothing wrong with the latter. I have no issue with it. I always think, and I also think that for our audience specifically, I'm like, how much kind of gravitas does it give us as a channel or us as people in our world, the way that we kind of like to play, the Garage Hammer, Bro Hammer kind of vibe, that one of us might have won a major tournament? Doesn't really give us any kind of gravitas at all.
Like I would love to win like Beachhead, right? But I am also very much aware of that winning a Beachhead ultimately means nothing in my social standing, right? Because my mum won't care, my missus won't care.
She might,
right?
She might be frothing.
You lot would give less of a shit because after a month or two, like people like less than a month. After a month, people only care about the next grand tournament, the next super major. So like was it the famous Fleeting?
Steady Breck says, also in those games, maybe one character plays so well, you give them a name. Exactly.
Yeah.
And in future games, say, and I'm taking Caesar, and the viewers go, oh, that guy, exactly that. 100% exactly that. That's the sort of thing I miss. Legitimately miss it. Cool. Right, chat, you wonderful human beings. We are 290 people watching, which is great, but only a third of you have liked it, and that's free. I'm about to start jumping into your super chats and listening to what you're saying about this kind of stuff. We also are on 32 of the finest members. One person's done a lot of heavy lifting there. There's 290 people watching. If every single one of you gifts 10 members, we'll probably hit our target.
I mean, if they gifted one, we'd also hit our daily target. If it's more accessible, you start low and then you build up.
You high.
Now you've given one. We know your your card works.
You've got the taste now.
Yeah.
Your card works. Yeah, take your credit card number, times it by 1, and add a 0 on the end and post it in chat. Watch the magic happen.
Yeah.
Amazing. I'm a fan of playing the game and your army as best as possible. The thing is, right, unless you're flat cheating or being a knobhead, I don't think there's a wrong way of playing the game, is what's really important to note.
And like, when you look at... But the reason I really liked the concept of the play the best you can do stuff is that by winning the LGT, Mr. Liam VSL, he's won the LGT 3 times in a row, the hat trick, right? Which no one's ever done.
But is it the first time?
Yeah, he's the first triple winner, right? He's won it with the same list twice in a row.
Okay.
Right? I don't know if it was the same list all 3 times in a row, but I know for a fact he's done it with the same list twice, right? And his army list is Chaos Space Marines that I feel like he lost a bet to play with, right? And it's when you look at his army list, you're like, the fuck is this? Right?
Okay.
Right, this is hot garbage straight off
Garbage.
Off the barge, right?
Yeah.
It's been in the back of a truck going through Texas and then dumped in the desert. That's how hot garbage this is, right? And he piloted it like an absolute fucking wizard, right? And he beat lists. So when I saw him go into his matchups, I'm like, I don't know how he wins this. And then they have a nice conversation. He moves his models around. He rolls some dice, and he's like, "Cool, I won."
Well, this is what's important. What's important here as well, though, is this is a very important thing that people seem to fail to realise. And that 4-on-1 crowd, those tryhard people going into the bottom rounds that are just not fun to play against, the sort of fucking idiots that probably would pay for a course to try and be better at the game, not realising that it is a game of rolling dice. they'll go, oh, I didn't win this time. What won the last major tournament? This one. I'm going to buy that army.
Yeah.
And you're like, if the way in which you win the game is by copying the last thing that won LVO.
Yeah. Tom obviously really wanted to run Chaos Space Marines on Tuesday, but I said to him, I'm really tempted to run Liam's list to show to people that you can't win with.
No, he's an exceptional creature.
Yeah.
Right?
And like Colonel Pye says, it's an army straight out from the pages of White Dwarf 1997.
I love it though.
It's like one unit of Marines, a Lord in in one unit.
I'm kind of happier.
Legionnaires,
I'm legitimately happier that he's winning with that kind of list.
Yeah. And right, this is no disrespect to him, right? But
it's about to be.
He's a young guy, has a busy life, doesn't have much money, right? So he does what he can in terms of like just getting around doing stuff. His army looks like he got it from a car boot sale, right? And he's not had much chance to work on it. And I looked at it and I was like, more people need to be like this.
Hasn't it taken the exact same army 3 years in a row?
Yeah.
Should we buy the exact same army and paint it and gift it to him?
Because I was like, I saw him to the list. I was like, damn, I'm disappointed that we're going into a new edition. Because I have them, all the models are in his army. I'd be like, Liam, here is like my army to run.
Do you think he'd be like, that's amazing? Or do you think he'd be like, what? Why do I need your army?
Yeah. He's French. He'd be French. He's French. He'd just be horribly rude. And then throw a baguette at me.
I'm not sure that's quite how it works.
Yeah. And but no, I'm like, can we get band together and get it his army commissioned, built and painted? You know, so when he goes there, he's on the top table with this insanely outstanding beautiful army that kind of matches his level, I think. That's no disrespect. Like I never hate on someone's army and models.
It sounds pretty
publicly on the internet.
Sounds like you've been a bit rude about it.
Yeah.
To be honest. I kind of don't like having a captain with a gun in his hand.
No?
This one has to have a gun in his
penis.
hand. I just like to have all melee weapons all the time. But what I could do is I could give him the pointing power fist, right? And then I could give him the little scanner.
Yeah, that's cool. And
would a sergeant have an all-spec scanner?
Yeah.
A captain even have an all-spec scanner?
Yeah. Why not? But the thing is, the thing about it, that's quite clearly his own personal army that he's had for years, right? And it shows that learning to play and your army and knowing one army inside out and being like a savant with that army is
A deviant,
you know. It is chaos, right? Knowing one army incredibly well and when you have people look at it going, I don't understand how this army works, is better than just copy and pasting whatever won a GT, right? And like a lot of the lists that went in top 8 were incredible lists, but they were very, very much what you would consider a tournament army, you know? What you take the piss out of me for, finding the 3 best things and just running 3 of those.
Yeah. I think I'm justified taking the piss out of you for it.
Yeah, so, but he's gone and he's taken an army that's like it's almost Highlander, right? A Chaos Space Marine army. And I'm like...
The upgrade sprue doesn't...
I think that's why, like, me and Tom are very excited about the LGT and what Liam did, because it's kind of given me the inspiration to be, well, like, I'm just going to pick an army and be good with it. Yeah. You know? Obviously, it's harder when we're on this channel because I have to paint and play with multiple different armies. But in my private time, like, I'm probably going to do one army all next year.
Who do you think it would be if you did it?
I'd probably do Templars.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah, not your orcs.
No, because my orc army that I've planned is not a good army.
Currently, there's a whole new edition coming.
There's a whole new edition. It might change, but my list is literally called Pickle Time, and it's just all pigs all the time.
It is all pigs all the
I
time.
wanted every pig unit. My plan is that when I develop the army for the new edition, new army, is if I have to put orc boys in my army, I'm not going to have orc boys. I'm just going to get Age of Sigmar squig models because I don't give a shit about firing guns.
Where's the warhammer out gone?
You know, and then if I'm going to have knobs, they'll probably just be bigger squigs.
You love a knob.
Yeah, mad about knobs. Obviously, if they release like mega armor stuff, I'll use the official models. But I just want all my basic stuff to be just a herd of squigs, you know. And I don't think it will be a very good army. But
can I ask why?
I want an army I could buy the table and just be stupid and have fun with. Because that's what orcs are to me.
Why do you take power swords over power fists?
On
captain.
So on a captain, if you have a power sword, you can take a storm shield. If you have a power fist, you can't.
This guy can't take a storm shield because there's no bits for it.
Well, sucks to be you, I suppose.
Unless...
Also, a power sword also has more attacks.
Is there any right-handed shields on Blade Guard?
Yes.
Because I could just put a Blade Guard right-handed shield on him.
You can. And also, like, because a power sword and a power fist, the only difference is that the strength and the number of attacks.
Yeah, so
because they're both AP 2, damage 2.
You get one more attack with the power weapon.
Yeah.
But you get 3 more strength with the power fist, 1 less attack, obviously.
Yeah.
But then you can go to 8 attacks with the power fist with dev wounds.
But it doesn't matter because you can have 9 attacks with a power sword with dev wounds.
I mean, it does kind of matter because when you don't get the dev wounds, you at least still get to wound on
if
2s
you've got
or 3s.
because I'm like have a lieutenant in the unit, have more attacks. Is that for your company heroes?
Yeah.
So in company heroes, if you take a captain, a lieutenant, and obviously they've got the champion in the unit. Champion. They all if you give all of them power swords, they all have the exact same attack profile.
Oh, I don't like like the way you're thinking just efficiency now for rolling dice. Because I do like it
in my
at the same
head,
time.
I'm like, cool, one guy's got 6 attacks, one guy's got 6 attacks, one guy's got 5 attacks. So I'm like 6, 12, 17, all hitting on 2s, all strength 5, all AP 2, all damage 2. And with the lieutenant in the unit, they all get lethals on 6s. So instead of going, this guy attacks with this guy attacks with this guy attacks with this, I'm like, cool, bang, all dice done. Like some people like all the variety. So like my fist captains don't like majoritively all have power fist because they're imperial fists.
I feel like I need to put the sword on him because I bought the other captain that looks like this. Hang on, I'll show you. Space Marine.
Our thing's broken.
I know it's broken, but we've got iPads, so it's fine. We can still see chat.
Oh, I can't.
Space Marine captain. Go.
I don't like looking at them sometimes. They scare me.
So I've got at home this cheeky chap, this guy here with the power pistol out, the power fist down by his side.
Yeah.
So I've got a power fist dude already. This guy could have a sword, but then I can also just get. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Also, when I run orcs, I'm not having like a million different weapons in every unit. I'm just going. They all have the same weapon.
Who's he? Is he the guy out of the fancy box?
The one you've got over there?
Yeah, is that him?
That's him, yeah.
So he's power fist.
Yeah.
I feel like captains should have fists.
Yeah?
Because they're fucking cool, aren't they? Chat, help me.
I match it for the army, right? So my Black Templars all have swords because they're space knights. I've got fists in my Imperial Fists because it's in the name.
I also need to work out which fists I've got on my jumpy dudes at home, on my assault intercessors, because assault intercessors only come with 1 power fist, and I don't like all 3 assault intercessor sergeants having the same power fist.
Why?
Because I don't like them. I like them to be different.
Just put them on different bodies, because if you put them on a different body, obviously the pose works out slightly different.
Always power fist. Power fist in the current game is clearly the better choice. What we go with, power fist or power sword?
Power sword. I would argue that the power sword is just flat better.
Magnetise, Andy, get in the bin.
Yeah.
I don't magnetise at anything.
Yeah, don't come in here with you.
There's nothing worse than going to pick up a miniature on the table and his fucking arm falling off because some twat has used a magnet and they're all flopping around like this all the time. I hate it. Yeah. Absolutely hate it. No, magnets can get in the sea. If you want one with a sword, one with a power fist, fucking buy 2.
The only magnets you
exclamation mark element.
The only magnets you should have on your army are the ones that hold them to your magnetic case. But you don't have them so. What really bugs it, I really like war magnets, right? because people, when they buy the little metal magnets to glue onto their base, they always get them way too strong. And they go pick up a model, and then they pick up this like massive mash of models that have all clumped together because the magnets are too strong. And I'm like, silly boy.
I think most of the people in chat are voting for Power Fist. I feel like Power Fist. I feel like I want the Power Fist. I'm going to do the Power Fist, Joe.
Do the Power Fist.
I think you're probably right that the sword's the more logical choice.
The more,
but again, I'm not doing competitive now. I'm going cool.
So like every captain in my Power Fist got a plasma pistol Power Fist because that's like the classic 5th edition captain, you know. I'm like, this is the classic look, you know, kicking it old school.
That's because you haven't done it properly. I mean, I think I probably have. Magnets can get in the sea.
Who?
Magnets.
Magnets. Yeah, I'm just like, have multiples.
Yeah.
I'm like, instead of buying 2 Chaos Space Marine Havoc squads, just buy 5.
Yeah. That's maybe right.
Just have all the different versions.
Right, I'm going to jump into chat in a minute, you wonderful humans. We're on 53 members right now, so we're over halfway.
Yeah.
You wonderful people. That is a cool power sword, though. I do like his grave there. That's quite nice. Oh, no, that looks really nice.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. He's got mortis.
This is really nice terrain, this is. Big fan. I'm not going to do all the little fucking doors and wall fillings because it's just shit to keep around that has no real use.
If it's for your Ultramarines, I would say Power Sword. I did think Power Sword might be slightly more Ultramarines. It's more kind of gladiatorial, isn't it?
Well, because like the Ultramarines upgrade packs come with a Gladius or Gladii. I don't know how you pronounce it, but
now I've looked at the Power Fist. It's slightly less impressive than the sword because the sword's got a really fancy grave on it. The Ultramarines upgrade spray I was looking at on my phone a minute ago. Hang on. Has a single, like, that kind of power sword, but it looks very Blade Guard Assault Intercessory, doesn't look very captain-y. Whereas the captain has got a really fancy left grave on his arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a fancy little Imperial Eagle thingy. So now I think sword. But I don't really like the scabbard hanging around where his knob is.
No?
I'm not a fan of that. I'm very fussy, chap.
You do put way too much thought into your models. Or maybe I just put in the same level as thought. I just come to a decision faster.
I think this is the first time I put this much thought into it. I just really want to make a very nice army.
Yeah.
I like seeing how proud you get of your Space Marine forces that you make, and I kind of want that same feeling, Jay.
Yeah?
Yeah. So, you know.
It's, yeah.
It's a compliment, Joe.
But when I build my Space Marines, I literally build them, like, I build the body, and then, because I have fancy bases, I glue the body to the base, and then I put all the head and arms on afterwards. So the pose matches, because you don't want to build a body and then glue him to a base, and he's just like that.
Well, I build the body like that with no arms, head, or backpack, and then I start painting.
Yeah, and that's why you never get an army painted.
Well, that's not true.
Because what you do is
never's a strong word. I've had at least 2 armies painted in my lifetime.
Not in the last 2 editions, though. No. Not where it counts.
What do you mean where it counts?
So you don't have an army now?
I do. I've got lots of armies.
Yeah. That's because I did them.
Yeah, so
but I'm talking about
you. I paid a guy to do it for me.
But what I've
when you identify a skill gap, you just find someone who can fill that skill gap for you.
But you're talking about your personal stuff, and I'm like, what I've noticed from your general routine for the last 2 editions is that you get really excited about an army.
Yep.
You buy that army. You build it. You build like 6 units and 1 million different sub-assemblies. Get overwhelmed that you've built too much stuff and it's all in 1 million pieces. Sack it off. Start a new army.
Yeah, and you've profited from it, so you probably stop whinging, right?
No, but you're the one that's whinging because you haven't got any.
Where have I whinged?
Because you're like, oh, I'm trying to do is I'm trying to improve you on the subject of like just build the whole model, paint the model.
I want to build the whole model. So what I've started doing.
But
the Assault Intercessors at home, I've built all of the models, with the exception of the Sergeant's head, because it's a different colour for airbrushing.
One of your favourite things is like, oh, what's the definition of insanity? You know?
Yeah, so I'm changing.
Yeah.
All my line infantry
Yeah.
and all my assault intercessors are all being built.
Yeah.
And the same for Blade Guard, apart from the shields, because they don't go on because you can't see anything otherwise.
You can. If you can't see what's behind it, why paint what's behind it?
I know
It's just
it's there.
wasted time and effort.
I know it's there.
Yeah.
I know it's there.
I know my car engine's there, but I don't go in and clean it every day.
I mean, evidently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you
How's your car doing, Joe?
It's fine.
How many
Running
issues
great.
has it had in the last 24 months?
Not that many.
Anyway, into chat, you wonderful humans. Pritters, thank you for that $5 right at the start. We did talk about it. We also said thank you to Makari's Wank Sock for the one gifted. Thank you, Lino Panel, for the $20. Hello, you handsome buggers. I'm glad there is less spite for tournament players in general, as I have great memories of Magic the Gathering tournaments. Competition is fun. I like when two people are both trying their hardest to win. Competition is fun.
Yeah.
And I think that trying your hardest to win isn't in itself a singular problem. I think
It's how
trying
you-
your hardest to win and being a bellend about it is where there's a problem,
That is it. Yeah.
ultimately.
Yeah.
So, I don't begrudge anybody who focuses on wanting to get ITC points or wanting to do well.
Yeah.
And I don't actually, personally for tournaments, if a person's turned up and has done the literal bare minimum to get their army ready, I don't have a problem with it. It's not what I would want to take. But that doesn't mean that I'm right, they're wrong, or anyone's superior. It's a tournament. They've fulfilled the requirements of the tournament.
Yeah, well, you've got to think like this is how we have Olympic athletes, right? I'm not saying like wargamers are a long step away from Olympic athletes, but how Olympic athletes act off of the field or in their chosen sport, they can be as much of a bellend as they want, right? But when they're on the field doing it, they behave and they follow the same rules as everyone else, right? And like, I think that's like, we need to think about it competitive 40k in that level, right? Act how you want when you're not playing the game, but when you're competing against someone on the other side of the table, just be a semi-decent human being.
Don't be a bellend.
Yeah, that's all we ask.
Yeah.
Just don't be a...
I think you're right though, Dan. Ultimately, I think I do find that there's a chasm, I think, that's formed in Warhammer over the course of specifically 10th edition. And I think it's been coming for a while. And I think that we used to live, Warhammer 40k used to kind of live in this Venn diagram where everybody kind of had a toe in the middle of that Venn diagram, right? Narrative players and casual players and competitive players. There's 3 circles. I'm sure you all know what a Venn diagram is. And there's a bit where all 3 circles overlap each other. And for the most part, people could meet in that circle. You could have a narrative player, a casual player, and it would be fine for the most part. And you could have a casual player, competitive player, it'd be fine for the most part. Because the rule set had very narrative aspects to it. So it had things like armor facings and templates and guess range weapons and all that kind of stuff. And so, although you could play it competitively, there were still narrative elements that meant that crossover was kind of okay. I think, my personal opinion is, specifically throughout 10th edition, there's been a lot of streamlining and smoothing out rules, and I think that what we've seen over the course of the last 3 editions is a lot of erosion of narrative stuff. I do think, personally, that in 8th edition, it was kind of somewhat hidden and rescued by the fact that things like Maelstrom of War existed. Yeah. So although we lost armor facings and we lost armor values and we lost blast templates, by having Maelstrom, which was a flat random game mode, where you just pulled cards and tried to do random shit all the way through the game, and that was all of your points. There was no such thing as just score primary all through the game and you might be okay. I feel like that kind of masked the fact that we had some erosion of narrative rules. However, I think that some of that narrative erosion has continued, and I think what's happened is, where we've had that Venn diagram of circles, and if we take 2, specifically kind of narrative and tournament, what's happened is they've pulled right apart. And I think we have this chasm in the middle now, where narrative players, if they have a bad experience, will just blame a competitive player because tournament players. And I don't think that's entirely fair. And like I said at the start, the reason why the rule set has changed as is Games Workshop's decision.
Yeah.
And it might be their decision specifically to pander to the tournament scene, but it is in fact their decision. A competitive player hasn't necessarily told Games Workshop how to do it, and they change. Some of them have over time. And I think that there's been a low point. I think we're kind of climbing back up again now.
Yeah, but also I think we're in a world now where that we have a standardized way of playing, right? And by having a standardized way of playing, it is more accessible to do.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
And that standard way of playing is used by competitive people because it's the most balanced and the most strict set of rules. Narrative playing is a more open way of playing that ultimately plays against the rules itself.
Yeah.
So it's less accessible because to play narratively, you have to know more. To play competitively, you have to know the rules of the game, right? And you have to know the rules of the army you've chosen, right? If you want to be if you do not care about the actual world of Warhammer, you just want to play a tabletop game that gets you involved with other people and you like painting models, you don't have to know the lore, you don't have to know the names of the special characters, you don't have to care about what they've done throughout the history of the last 40 years of Warhammer. You just go, I like these models, they look cool, I painted them blue because that's what's on the box. I know the rules, right? Arguably, that is the best game that Games Workshop can produce because anyone can play it, right, without knowing anything. To play narratively, you not only have to know the rules of your army, you have to know 40 years of lore,
Yeah,
right? And then you have to go and consume that lore to then create a game which is a recreation of something that someone's done or a rough estimation of like what could happen, and then you have to break the rules.
Muju's makes a beautiful point as well that I really like, actually. I like the way he's worded this. He says, narratively you play with people, competitively you play against people. I quite like that as a concept. I like that quite a lot, actually. I'm a fan of that.
And I think like when you play narrative, you have to go to you and your opponent have to have that pre-game conversation, and part of that conversation could be like, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have 2,000 points of models, and I've got infinite amount of points of models because I can just keep bringing them on in like a siege scenario or whatever. And literally the game is for you not to win, it's just to survive as long as you can, you know? So I think playing narratively is harder to do, right? Because, especially in today's age as well, where, you know, you go to the club, you turn up, you don't know anyone, you've moved to a new town, and you go, can I play Warhammer with someone, right? And then someone goes, yeah, I'll play against you. You don't know each other.
Right.
You have no preconceived history, you don't know anything, just two people playing
just two dudes.
The preset rules given to us by Games Workshop, the standardized rules of Warhammer, right, is good for you to play and learn the game together and learn each other. And then you can eventually become friends and then you can move on to the narrative stuff afterwards.
Yeah.
Right? So what Games Workshop has produced and created, I think, is the best version of Warhammer that we've had for accessibility and getting people playing it. Right? Because ultimately, the more people that play the game, the more popular it is, and the more Games Workshop continue to do it.
Well, I mean, I think maybe it's the best version accessibility-wise, but I don't think it's particularly accessible. You know, it's the best perhaps it's been for a long time. That doesn't make it good, though. For example, if you want to pick up the rulebook now and play, you can, but you also can't. And what I mean by that is you'll be playing the rulebook version of the rules, but you're not actually playing the latest, most up-to-date
Yeah, but that's also like, but I think like, we could argue that the older editions that people argue are better, like 5th edition or whatever, right? It doesn't matter what edition you choose.
I mean, there's a lot.
It's all personal preference.
Yeah, there's a lot of nostalgia.
What you think is the best edition? Because obviously, for someone like Tom, that's our Tom, right? 10th edition is the best edition he's ever played. He's only played for like 2 editions.
He's recently off the breast.
Yeah. So he has no. So when you go, oh, the days of 5th edition were the best days ever, and then you tell that person the rules of 5th edition, so Tom's like, you're on crack. That sounds awful.
Yeah, my favourite, with the exception of when it got silly, my favourite was 7th edition.
Yeah.
But that's because of nostalgia. That's not because I necessarily think it's a better rule set.
7th edition was not a good edition, right?
You shut your dirty whole mouth.
Right? The core rules of 7th edition were amazing, right? That's why Horus Heresy was so successful, because it was based off of the 7th edition core rules. But the game of 7th edition was not good because all the codex would just break everything all the time, and it got wild and silly. right? And I think like in terms of accessibility, right? It was the Wild West, right? If you came into Warhammer during the midway through of 7th edition, someone goes, oh, cool, I've got Grey Knights, they're allied with Eldar, and I'm summoning 2,000 points of demons. And you're like, and someone's like, the fuck is this?
It was bad, wasn't it?
Oh, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my 3 Grey Knight Land Raiders on this hill, and I'm going to pick this hill up, and I'm going to move it across the table and then charge
Oh,
you.
I forgot about that.
It's just like, and you're like, this sounds awful. It basically 7th edition is what happens when 2 kids are playing in a playground making shit up, right? Whereas 10th edition, although it is a bit of a pickle to find all the information, it is a lot more standardised.
That's what you did there.
Yeah,
I was a fan of that.
It's I think it's the best, and also the access technology, right? Back into old days, right? You'd get given a codex for your army, and it might stay the same codex for two whole editions. You won't get a new codex until the 3rd one. You know, if a codex came out broken as shit, guess what happened? Never got fixed. You know, or it'd take 2 years to get an FAQ for that, and that FAQ was just a Facebook post. You know, it was just a picture, right? 7th edition, all of the updates pretty much came as photographs on Facebook, right? And we forget that, right? So if you went to a Games Workshop store and you're like, this book's out, but if you want the update, you have to go to our Facebook and then print off the pictures, and that'll give you all the information you need. At least now we have an app.
Yeah, it's actually quite a good app.
Right,
as well.
and we complain about the app.
No,
we like to complain.
I complain about very minor things about the app. I think for the most part they've knocked that one out of the park. Anyway, Dan, appreciate the $20, man. Thank you. Thank you, Cry Kinetic, for the 1 gifted membership, and thank you, Dan, Mr. the Limey Panda, for 5 gifted memberships.
Thank you, Limey Panda. I hope that you learn to make chocolate, but from obscure animal milk. Like a platypus.
Platypus chocolate?
Yeah.
Why do we want platypus chocolate?
Why don't we?
Fair, okay, yeah, reasonable.
No one's out there producing it right now. Could be incredible. The lost art of platypi milk.
There was some claims after Tuesday's stream that Joe hopes were back to their best.
Yeah.
When we were in a cave with a giant bee with a tennis ball on its stinger.
Yeah. Safety first.
Yeah, of course. Nick, thank you for the $5. Most common toxic trait folk have is thinking the meta top level decision making applies to them. You could give me any meta list, and I doubt 100 VP. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We've known a lot of people over the times that will go to a tournament, do terrible, but sell their army, buy the army that won that tournament, go to the next tournament and lose with it, and then sell that one. Get the
Similarly,
one that
though, right. Interestingly, I've also ran meta lists after they've won at tournaments, at events, and scored 100 points and gone, that was really fucking dull.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, at the end of the day, the people that make the lists that become meta lists are the people that understand how it's run, right? And quite often, they're built with a specific plan in mind and a specific play style. They'll create that list to win and do as best as they can, and they've done it for themselves, right? The list then takes it and runs with it and uses it. Some of the best guns in like Call of Duty or whatever, are fucking horrible to use, but people just use them to win, right? And I think that's just become human nature now. You know, everyone's just out there for themselves. You know, they're out to win it. Even at narrative events, you still get people that go there just to win. I won the narrative with the most narrative.
Oh, I've had that experience. We've put on narrative events which are hyper narrative. Right, the whole point is just that they are literally narrative events.
Yeah.
And people turn up and go, you know, here's my tower list. And you're like, that's going to table anyone you come up against in this particular narrative because of the way people have constructed. I don't care, I've won.
Yeah. even if there's no award for winning, that
Yeah.
person, people still want to win, and then some people out there that go to narrative events, kill team events, like AOS events, right? They derive their enjoyment from winning ultimately.
Tau
And
players, honestly.
people that play Tau are
the worst.
scum. Right? There's an extra level in hell for just you, right?
Do you do plasma pistols, Joe, or neo-volkite?
Plasmas, because they're cool.
I think I prefer plasmas to neo-volkite.
I did some plasma glow on my plasma pistols yesterday, actually. Although you've offered loads of times, I keep forgetting to bring them in. Last night I ordered, at like 1 o'clock this morning, I ordered one of those hydro bath for my airbrushes.
Oh, the old Sonic baths.
Yeah, the sonic bath thing.
Yeah, it's fucking really good.
Because
Really, really good.
there's so many times now where I'll press down, and then the air will come out, and then I'll release, and the air's still coming out.
Oh.
And I'm like, I've cleaned it a million times. I'm like, there's something going on deep in here.
Yeah, the Sonic baths. Is
So I need
or
to.
it's your seal.
Or it's the seals. What I need to do is I need to find someone that does like an MOT for airbrushes.
Airbrush service.
Like an airbrush service. Like, and just send it to. They'll clean it,
Well, look,
replace all the stuff.
Having your Sonic bath isn't going to be a bad thing anyway, because they're just useful.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work after that, let me have it and I'll...
I've got 2 airbrushes at home that have just been sat doing nothing because I need to give them the deep clean. But what I would like to do is just send them off and be like, replace the nozzle, replace the valves, replace the seals.
I mean, for the most part, it'll just be the seals that will need doing.
Wipe your stuff on it.
The nozzles and stuff like that will all get done by the Sonic bath. It'll just be the seals.
Although one of my nozzles on my current airbrush is like started to like cone out on the end.
Okay.
That's
odd.
Obviously because of like vigorous cleaning.
Vigorous cleaning.
Yeah, so I ordered a replacement and it's smaller than the one I had, and I was like, oh, well now I learned that my nozzle size is not that size.
Yeah.
I now need a bigger one.
Chat, we're on 58 of the finest memberships. Tim, thank you for 5 gifted memberships.
Thank you, Tim. Tim. I hope, Tim, that you develop the ability to read minds, but only when they're thinking about spaghetti.
Right, okay. Why is that a benefit? Okay.
Maybe he wants to rob an Italian restaurant. And they're thinking about bills and the cash system, but also spaghetti. There's not enough TV programs and films about mutants with shit powers.
No, correct.
You know?
The Boys.
Yeah.
Is about it.
Did you ever watch... what was that Channel 4 series?
Eurotrash.
Misfits.
Oh, no.
There's like a storm, and then everyone that's caught out of the storm basically gets a randomly assigned magic, like a power. So there's like a girl that can read minds.
We've got pin
and
vices
there's
here,
like,
haven't we?
Yeah.
Cool.
Like get the random stuff, and there's like, and like loads of people obviously become famous because there's like a girl that can heal people.
Okay.
She becomes like a religious cult. But like one of the main bad guys in the episode has the ability to control milk. And becomes
I kind of want to watch Misfits now.
right, and it's an episode where he basically becomes a serial killer.
You have my attention, Joe.
Right, because he's like, "Oh, you drunk a latte this afternoon," and then he basically moves the dairy in it into their brain and kills them, you know, or like strangles their stomach. It's just
That sounds fucking great as a show. I'm into it.
And there's a guy who for ages thought he didn't have a power, and then discovers that he's actually immortal after he gets killed and then buried.
This show sounds great.
It is a great show, and obviously the show follows a bunch of like teenage kids on like social work, like probation, essentially, like cleaning up streets and stuff. It's great. It's a great series.
I went with the Power Fist, Joe. I went with the Power Fist. I committed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a guy that can change himself from male to female and gets himself pregnant. which is a great episode.
Touchy subject nowadays. Thank you, Paul's bad at stuff for the $10. In one game, I told my opponent they should put scouts down in a place that I'd have been able to drop my Centurions to delete a tank and a unit. 40k is a co-op game, and that's how most of my games go.
Yeah.
Well, you're a good person who does good things. Paul is bad at stuff, by the way, chat. If you are unaware, Paul is bad at stuff also has his own channel, and he's not that bad at it. And normally, I don't know if today will be the same, but normally he's live on a Thursday afternoon in between when the Liam and Joe show finishes, and then when the game goes live later on.
Yeah.
So if you wanted some more content when we're done, you can head on over to Paul is bad at stuff and see if he really, in fact, truly is bad at stuff.
And he sometimes live streams a tortoise, or did I dream that?
I have no idea.
Is that real? Did I imagine that? Is that real?
Is that a thing?
It feels like something I dreamed. But please let me know that I'm not that mental.
I haven't met him, but I think some of you have met him. Do you meet him at all? Or is it Tom?
No, he's never introduced himself, although apparently he says he does, but he's never gone, hi, I'm Paul, who is bad at stuff. He might have said, hi, my name's Paul. But like, I've met lots of Pauls, so, you know.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Or it's like, it's a weird situation to be in, right? Because there's people that come and said hi to me and then never told me their
Paul,
name.
if you don't turn up at an event and go to Joe looking exactly like your profile picture on YouTube, he won't know who you are. So I will probably be raiding today, yes. Also, if you want a game, I'm literally up the road from you. There you go.
Oh.
We can
From you?
We should bring Paul as bad stuff
Or from here?
into a stream.
Or from me?
I'd assume from us. Because he was at a local tournament to us, wasn't it?
Oh.
Paul, do you want to come and do a game show one night?
Yeah? You can show us how bad you are or great you are.
You can come in and play a game one evening. You do streaming for a living. Not for a living. On YouTube, maybe for a living. I don't know. Do you do it for a living? If he's streaming in the afternoon, I'd like to think he does.
Yeah.
You're welcome to come and hang out and play a game. Let's get it. Thank you for the $10. You win the game by creating multiple unsolvable problems for your opponent, with them full well knowing everything you can do to them. That creates a game without any gotchas. If you can do that. But again, right, that's like the top players that can do that.
Like ultimately, I think this discussion was based around the fact that I've done many events and there was 1,060 odd players there, or 1,080 people at that tournament. It's the biggest tournament.
Well, for game 1 and 2 at least.
Yeah. Yeah. But sometimes I really want to have a discussion about that at some point, but we can't do it on the internet. If you know you're planning to do something over multiple days, surely you plan ahead.
Well, also the excuse works if you still play your third game on the first day.
Yeah.
But it works less when you just lose and drop.
Yeah.
But hey.
Yeah. But you can't complain when you do it every event.
Well,
and
quite
then people
exactly.
call you out on it.
Yeah. When you've made a habit of it, it becomes...
Yeah, when it's learned behaviour. Anyway, what was I talking about? No, so the discussion came about the fact that the people that are playing at the highest level of 40k are playing a very different game to the rest of us.
Oh, he does YouTube for a living now, full time. Well done, Paul.
Oh, someone's phoning me now.
Good man, mate. Congratulations.
So I keep getting phoned by like loads of different phone numbers, like mobile phone numbers. If you're a business, why do you call on a mobile phone number?
I mean, I'm a business and I call on a mobile phone number.
Yeah, but if you've got like call centres, if call centres are calling you on, why do they call on mobile numbers?
Oh, that's probably not legit then.
Yeah. Is there some kind of science behind that? Because people are more likely to answer mobile phone numbers? I don't know. Anyway, what I was saying is that they're playing a very different game to us on the top tables, but it's not the game that people think it is. And the reason I wanted to bring like an awareness to it, that it's not these people that are ruining the hobby, because they're playing at such a level that like the common man, can't legitimately get to that level without trying really, really hard. And it is also a fine example of like, it's not the army list, it's the player that goes the way, right?
The army list does make some difference.
The army list does make some difference, right? But quite often the person that creates that meta internet list that everyone copies, they're the one that's going to consistently go all the way with it.
Yeah.
Not the people that are copying them.
Well, and this is where there's a number of things you can do, and there's more than just this. There's more than just this. This one or two ways of existing and one or two ways of behaving when it comes to armies, and I have a problem with one of them. But again, it's a way you can do it, and I think there's a way. I think there's a way we could. There's some things I'd like to see, which will probably never happen, but I'd like to see it. So you can either go to a tournament, do average, maybe not very well, look at what won, look at what's winning, go and buy that list, and then go to the next tournament with the new list. Yeah, that's an option. A lot of people do that. We call them meta chasers, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes that feels like a really harsh, name cally thing to do.
I know, but
it's not. It's just that is kind of what you're doing. You're buying a new list, and like if you've got the disposable and the time to go and do that, and you want to go jumping between army to army to army, actually, you know what? Again, it's in the rules. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
The other type of people, like your Liams, find an army that they really like, and they'll take it to a tournament, and they'll go, I really wish I'd had this unit that could do this thing. And they'll tweak their list. And they'll go to the next tournament and they'll go, that's better, I've solved that problem.
Yeah.
But now I've got this little problem, and they'll tweak their list. And that's the kind of person who I'd want to be personally.
Yeah.
That's just a me thing. Again, there's nothing wrong with the other. I do personally wish that, and it's becoming less of a problem now because Games Workshop are doing a better job of releasing balanced books rather than it being Codex power creep. However, I'd like to see the ITC saying at the start of the season, you have to register 3 factions.
Yeah.
And if you play a tournament, you can play a tournament with any faction you want, but you're only going to get ITC points if you play with one of those 3 factions.
Yeah.
And I'd like that to happen at the start of an edition when no one knows what's going to be good or bad.
Yeah.
So I would have to pick Eldar because they're my favourite. Maybe I'd pick Space Wolves. Maybe I'd pick Ultramarines, or Space Marines would be a one. Maybe you'd then pick, I don't know, Sisters for the sake of argument, right?
Yeah.
And so I could go to a tournament with Necrons. I'm allowed to do that and go and have fun. And I can go and win the tournament. I won't get ITC points for it.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that.
But that relies solely on Games Workshop releasing consistent, balanced codexes.
Which only works currently when they're kind of doing it for the most part, right? And when they do release something busted, they are doing a relatively reasonable job at catching it before it's a problem, a la Knights, and making some tweaks and changes.
Yeah.
So you know, this is where I'm actually giving them credit for a moment, where I feel like they're doing a better job. This wouldn't have worked in the past, because you could probably go to the start of the edition and go, well, I'm definitely picking Eldar because they're always broken.
Yeah.
You know, if I could pick 3, I want to go Eldar, Space Marines, if you could have generic, because I could play Space Wolves or Ultramarines or whatever. I don't know what my third would be. I feel like I want to go tournament with Sisters.
Yeah.
Sisters would be fun. Joe's would be Templars.
Yeah.
Tyranids.
Yeah.
The third one I struggle with slightly.
Yeah.
Emperor's Children?
Yeah, maybe Emperor's Children. Yeah, I think probably Emperor's Children. I keep thinking about taking
Drugs?
Chaos Base often. Taking Chaos Space Marines to see how I can go with them. But I think the problem is to play well with Chaos Space Marines, right, and do well with them, is you have to run the army that I don't want to run with Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
And I'm like, I don't want to give up on my dream of taking Abaddon and winning tournaments. I'd love to go to a tournament and win with Abaddon. I did it in 8th, right? But you can't do it now because he's garbage.
Is he?
He's all right.
He's very good offensively. He's just terrible defensively.
Yeah, he just can't take a hit. He's got a bit of a glass jaw, poor boy.
He flat packs quicker than IKEA, doesn't he?
Yeah. But, maybe that's what I plan. Maybe that's what I do. Maybe I work on making
Chaos great again.
Chaos great again.
Careful.
Yeah. But I'm also in the mind that I've heard a rumour, right, about what might be coming for Tyranids.
All right, what's this? What's this rumour?
It might be the Red Terror.
Terror.
Right, and I'm like, ooh.
I like a Red Terror.
I've got 2 command squads for Raveners, right, and I'm like, oh.
Doesn't the Red Terror but need a sizable size upgrade though?
Yeah, because currently he's tiddly willy. He needs to be the same size as a Trigon or something, if not bigger. I'd hope that he was bigger than a Trigon, because he's like King Worm, isn't he?
Is Trigon King Worm?
You've got the Trigon Prime, which is the biggest worm. You know,
Okay.
but he's the same size as other Trigons and Morlocks.
Who, the Red Terror?
But the Red Terror is supposed to be like a Trigon equivalent.
Well, yeah, but he used to have a rule which was swallow whole. And I
Yeah.
used to remember this tiny little model
Yeah.
swallowing fucking full-size Space Marines. I'm like,
I'd want him to be like the same size as a Norn.
yeah, that's reasonable, I think.
I want him to be I want him to be the terror that he is. You know, the terror of the deep. You know,
Yeah.
your mum.
The actual Red Terror. The actual Red Terror, not a red worm.
Yeah. So but I'm like, I need to get 4 boxes of Raveners to have max Ravener, and then I can just have full worm army.
Maximum Ravener.
Yeah. Maximum overworm.
You heard it here. Joe is setting the worm meta.
Yeah.
It's the worm.
Because poor little legs. Tyranids are not doing great at the moment.
When you I'm going to go off on a bit of a tangent.
Yeah.
When you look at what you want to buy and what things you want to add to your army, do you look at what's good? Because at the moment, my current hyper focus, I have renewed vigor for Ultramarines, right?
Yeah.
As you can probably tell. That's my current hyper focus. That will probably change because that's what happens. However, when I'm looking at, I was in the process of trying to build a semi-competitive list with Paddy, and do you know what I found? I just felt quite uninspired. I don't want multiple units of company heroes. What I want, right, is I want to have a single unit of company heroes.
But to be fair, Paddy got company heroes from me.
No, granted, right? And this is why I'm asking you the question. I don't want multiple units of company heroes. I want 1 unit of company heroes. I don't want to have 1 unit of intercessors and then 3 units of Blade Guard and 3 units of Victrix Guard and 3 units of fucking aggressive. Well, you can't. You can take Victrix Guard with Calgar currently. Well, I don't know if you can anymore. Calgar's gone from the website.
Yeah.
So I don't know whenever the new models come out, are they going to have to release? I'm curious as to what's going to happen, Joe. Actually, it's a complete tangent from the tangent, right? When the new models come out, current Calgar has 2 Victrix Guard.
Yeah.
New Calgar and Terminator armor and Victrix Guard come in a box of 3.
Yeah.
Do we think they'll be able to take them like Blade Guard, Head Takers, Flawless Blades in units of 3 or 6? Or are they going to be part of Calgar's unit still? Or like, how's that going to work?
I think what will probably end up happening is the ones that go with current Calgar current Calgar and his current guard will become a legend unit.
You reckon?
And then what you'll probably see is that the current Victrix Guard people will just proxy as Blade Guard.
Do you think that with the new box, where one of them can be a champion and one of them can be a man with a flag, do you think that they're going to be a command squad and then you'll have Honor Guard as a separate unit?
Yeah, I reckon they'll be much like Raveners and Ravenwing Knights, Black Knights. So, because both operate in the same way, is the box set makes 2 things, right? A command squad and a unit, and both of those things can join each other. So you can take a box of 5 Raveners makes the command squad Raveners, and a normal squad of Raveners, and both can join each other.
Okay, interesting.
And I reckon the same will be for the.
But I still think about that, and I'm like, I want to build a decent unit of the new Honor Guard, but I don't want my main core of my force to be Honor Guard. I want intercessors.
Yeah, but it depends. Right, so this is.
I want to make like a proper Space Marine company.
But this is where your narrative comes in, right? You go, I don't want to do a full army that's on the guard. I want to do an army that looks like an army. That's your narrative.
It is.
Right? But someone might go, I want to do a full army of honor guards because I've got Calgar, I've got Gilliman. Who are they going to be rocking around on the table with?
Yeah, well, the thing is, though,
they're not going to go to war with three bodyguards. They're going to go to war with 50.
But the problem is those people are wrong. War Boss Benny, thank you for the $10. How do you all feel, chat 2, about each army having a specific keyword that are known for, such as Death Guard with Feel No Pain, Grey Knights with Deep Strike, etc.? Or do you think they have that already? Love you. Are you about for like special rules, I guess?
I think they kind of have that semi already in the aspect of detachment rules, right? So Grey Knights have the uppy downy detachment.
They also have Deep Strike on basically every single data sheet.
Yeah. But, you know, Death Guard are a disgustingly really resilient army that has like an aura of decay around them, but you can do the whole army with Deep Strike. So, like, as I was just saying to Liam, right? The narrative is subjective and it is what you make it, right? And your concept of narrative will vary from everyone else's based on the content that you have consumed or read before, right? You might have read a guard book that's all infantry, like Gaunt's Ghosts. They operate as stealth operatives and they take heavy weapons, but they're not supported by anyone. So you might do a guard army that's just all infantry because that exists, and it might turn out that that's the most busted thing ever. But when you go to your tournament, you go to your narrative event and you just demolish everyone, and people are going to be like, "Oh, he's such a gamey dickhead. He's bought an all infantry guard army." So it's difficult. Like when I did the AOS event, I took Cities of Sigmar, which was regarded as one of the best armies in the game at the time.
I thought it was bad. I thought it was regarded as bad.
It's bad, but overall it's generally bad one, but it has a really high win rate because of some specific units that you had in it. Okay. So if you run, I didn't do it. I didn't have any in my army. People were running 4 command squads, right, with associated characters go with them, because those things were mental, right? So they've had to nerf the shit out of them because they're so good. So I took a City Sigmar army that looked like an army. I had big blocks of infantry, and then I had a cavalry section which had 3 units of cavalry and an officer to lead them. I had blocks of infantry with an officer to lead them, and then I had cannons and gunners with an officer to lead them. You know, and then an overall general.
I categorically would like to see a significantly higher use of universal special rules. So would you glue this cape on? Because I normally wouldn't.
Yeah.
But how can you paint in there?
What? Yeah. You don't need to because you can't see it.
I can see that.
Yeah, but once the arm's on, and once the arm's on, the shoulder pads on, the backpack's on, you're not going to see it. And if you can see it, it's going to be in shadow. So it's going to be dark. So it doesn't matter, right? Because unless you're the prime example, unless you're one of those people that's like, oh, okay, look at your army, you've missed a bit, right? I'm going to call you a cunt. Right? Whereas they go...
It's not about
Whereas they pick up and go, that's a really nice model, you know? They're not going to be like, oh, if I hold it upside down, you haven't painted the base of your tank.
It's not about me looking at other people's armies. It's about me knowing about my army, Joe.
Yeah.
I'm just asking you what you would do.
Yeah, but my preference for painting armies is different. The thing is, though, like, you're like, I'm going to take the next entire edition to paint this Ultramarine army. So you can take as long as you want. Whereas I go... I've probably got about maximum 3 weeks to get this army done for X release. So I don't give a shit about what's going on under the arms because the camera can't see that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or if I'm at tournaments or events, people aren't like picking them up to lift up the cape to see what's underneath. But if you want to do a Golden Demon level army, then do it all in sub-assemblies. But the thing is, when I do sub-assemblies, I don't build the entire army and then paint the entire army in sub-assemblies. I tend to do it like, I'll build a squad, have that squad on my desk, and that squad never leaves my desk until it's finished.
Yeah.
Because I don't want bits everywhere.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know how that fits. I don't know how that fits on there at all.
Yeah.
Or it just doesn't fit, apparently. Eh?
Yeah.
Like that?
Where did we get to?
We are now on Tox Trio. Thank you for the $5. The best advice I have ever gotten was, you can try and get 5 wins, or you can try and get 5 friends. What's more important is up to you.
You can get 5 wins and have 5 friends.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And if you're the sort of person who would like to pay to try and get better to get 5 friends, 5 wins, then you probably also need to pay for your friends.
Yeah, but I think like if you're paying to learn to play the game to win, I don't think you're out there to get friends, are you? But I think like at the end of the day, like I think like winning or losing, it's down to you how you behave at the table.
Yeah.
Ultimately, right? And it's how you want people to perceive you and remember you. If you don't give a shit, behave however you want. right? And people will judge you for the behaviour. But ultimately, you know what they always say is like treat people how you want to be treated. You know, and if you act like a massive dick, then people are going to treat you like a massive dick.
Yeah. I like the phrase though. To be fair, Toxin, I'm a big fan of the phrase.
Oh yeah,
Joe's right. You can get 5 wins and get 5 friends.
Yeah.
But typically, if you're just going to get the wins, you're probably gonna.
So this is why I really like Warhammer World events.
Oh.
Warhammer World events, in my opinion, are the best events you can do, right? Because
Hobby House isn't open yet. Is that why?
No. I think Warhammer World ones will still be better.
Wow.
At the end of the weekend, right, at the end of the 5th game, you have to vote on your 2 favourite games, your 2 favourite players, and the 2 favourite armies that you saw, right? And that is entirely down to you. One thing I do like is that if you don't do the vote, all your scores get zeroed, right?
Even your playing score.
Yeah. Because, right, because it's all right. No, because I'm going to elaborate on this in a minute. Right, is that if you vote on your favourite player and your favourite game votes, right, and then at the end of the event they do an award for favourite player, favourite game votes, and then they have the best overall ones. And then what happens is that your wins and your votes get added together, and the person with the highest favourite army, favourite game, and wins combined gets you the best overall score, right? So you can have 0 wins, but you can have 5 favourite player, 5 favourite game votes, and maybe get best overall, right? But the person that gets 5 favourite game, 5 favourite players, and wins 5 games is still going to beat you, right? And I think it's like you can still win and get favourite game and favourite player votes because of just how you behave at the table. And I think that's the thing I'm trying to get out to the community is that you can win and still be a nice person, and both players can have a nice experience.
Ha! Look how many members we got. Thank you, Ivy, for the web gifted membership. Thank you, Britters, for the $5. He says, Joe, did you see Innes's list? It's also mental, but Innes did Innes things and came 4th with a Storm Raven and 3 Redemptors.
Yeah, so
Didn't we talk about Innes's list in the chat? I'm sure that 3 Redemptor list got brought up in the chat.
Yeah, so Innes's list, Storm Raven, Calgar, Gilliman. And I was looking at that list, and I think that's really, really cool. And he did like a little mini interview with Joe from War Games Live. And
well, also a top bloke, to be fair.
He's also a really nice guy, right? He's someone I'd love to play a game against. He's swearing all the time. Him and his opponents are laughing.
Why don't you
they're abusing each other. I would if I could, but I'm not good enough to actually play again. Unless I pair into him round 1, I'm not seeing him again for the rest of the event.
Well, you get a lucky round 1 pairing, and then you might play him round 2.
Yeah. So, but his list, he did the interview basically. He goes, 1 Redemptor Dreadnought is not good, right? It is a resilient tank, a resilient dreadnought, but it's not good. But 3 of them, right? Your opponent can deal with 1, right? And they still have to get through the other 2. So over the course of a game, it's essentially diminishing returns because they have to put most of their resources into killing 1. And by the time they get to the second one, those resources are lower, so it's harder, right? And you still have a Storm Raven that's still a toughness 11, 16 wound plane that is also -1 damage.
Oh, is it?
So his list is basically Gilliman, Calgar, and 3 massive vehicles that have a great level of output, and they're all -1 damage. Right? It's a really good list. Yeah, he played it really, really well.
I do love it when people take what is essentially something I would probably consider a skew list, and then they do well. I'm a fan of that. Thank you so much, Lionel Panner, for the $5. You know what I miss? The Pyrrhic decisive victory defeat conditions. It's dope when there are alternative means of winning. I agree. Like, you lose all your models, but because you got this one rare relic to the edge of this board, you win.
Yeah.
That sort of shit's cool.
Like the mission, the relic.
The old one.
Yeah.
We had to pick
Which
it up.
was fucking awful.
It was a great mission.
It depending on what armies you played. So, like, if you played Eldar, it was broken as shit. because you'd have an Autark that moves 12 inches, pick it up, and then fuck off and never see it again, right? Or if you played guard, you go, or Necrons that move like 4 or 5 inches, you go pick it up, and then you die because you can't move anywhere. It's silly. I'm going for a wee.
Thank you. Can you just do this one first? New Biticus for 5 gifted memberships because we're currently on 69. Whee!
New Biticus. I hope that you start making homemade milkshake.
And it brings all the boys to the yard?
It brings all the boys to you.
Okay, thank you, Chris Napier, for the $20. This is just repaying some of the gift memberships you've been given. Thank you so much, man. You're a hero. The chat are pretty good at giving people memberships so they can be involved even if they can't afford to be involved themselves. Like I said, we are already on 69 of the finest memberships. So we're 31 away from today's lunchtime goal. I believe in you all. I believe in all 276 of you that we can get there. Surely you've all got a fiver, at least one a day for the next 30 days, right? Thank you anyway for that orange one, mate. You're a legend. And thank you so much, Josh, for the $5. Number one thing we teach the new guys at the club is to have fun. You're going to lose games. Enjoying your game and learning is better than winning. Winning. No, you're right though. I think sometimes people. It's not the greatest comparison in the world either, but like, I'm a football fan, and when I say football fan to you Americans, I mean the sport where we use your feet for the ball. Not your hands. And being the fan of this club, last season was a Premier League season, which was fucking woeful and embarrassing. And this season we got relegated. Well, last season we got relegated. This season we're in the league below now. We're in the Championship. And Saints fans are mostly pretty sound and sane people, but there are a group of them, quite a vocal group of them, that are ranting and fucking raging because we haven't won every single game of the season so far. And I think there's this weird expectation that we should win every single game. And I think it's similar for Warhammer. Like, if you think about what Games Workshop are doing with their balancing, they're trying to get factions as close to a 50% win rate as they possibly can. And what that means, obviously, when you get close to a 50% win rate, that you're going to win as many games as you're going to lose. If the win rate is exactly 50%, then logically, you play 20 games, you win 10, you lose 10. Right? Makes sense. So it is important to learn to lose, and I think it's important to learn to lose before you even learn to win. And I think also, if you start playing a game and you're a brand new player and you walk up to your first game and you win 100-0, you go, well, that was fucking easy. Yeah. And then the next game when you get battered by someone who really knows what they're doing, you're going to think, oh, what happened there? And it's set an unrealistic expectation. If you lose your first 10 games, but you keep going, you keep practicing, you keep learning, and slowly but surely your point score's going up, and then you get your first win, how much more satisfying is that?
Well, yeah, ultimately you win. You learn nothing by winning.
Yeah.
Right, you don't win anything.
Yeah, you don't. I'm reading the chat over there because it's broken here. So I just see my name and I have to read it quickly. Oh. Yeah, thank you, Torhammer, for the $5. Carol Guy at one stage had 2 data sheets in the Codex, one in Terminator Armor, one in Power Armor, but I fear Gravis Calgar is for Legends. I can't see him having 2 data sheets anymore. I don't think I'll do the same as last time. No. And the fact that he's gone from the website would indicate that he's going Legends.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they'd leave him for sale, surely.
Oh, 100%.
I'm not that sad either, though.
Over the years, they've very much changed to, if we sell it, we do rules for it. If we don't sell it, no rules.
I loved the idea of Gravis Calgar. Yeah. I hated the YMCA pose. I don't like it. I don't know why he's mid-song.
Yeah.
Seems dumb. Cray, thank you for 10 gifted memberships.
Thank you, Cray. I hope that you find a Leoplorodon.
A what?
A magical Leoplorodon.
What the fuck's a Leoplorodon?
It's a dinosaur.
Is it?
Yeah, it will show you the way. It's a great internet reference.
What did you put up your nose out there?
There was,
you on?
There was a great internet series called Charlie the Unicorn.
Of course.
There's two little annoying shit unicorns that follow him, and they always go on these journeys. And you have to find a magical Leoplorodon to find the way to Candy Mountain.
I believe you.
When he gets to Candy Mountain, he gets drugged and he has his liver stolen.
Right. Okay. Anyway, thank you, Craig, for the 10 gifted memberships. Like I said, we're on 69 chat. We have a flurry right at the end now because we're getting close to finishing the stream. Evan, thank you for the 1 gifted.
A magical Leoplorodon, Charlie.
Craig, thank you for the 5,000 Japanese yen. You're a legend. It's a big pink one, Joe. Top players seem more open to people playing what they like as well, where mid-table players will scoff at any suboptimal unit until a top player uses a unit that everyone wrote off, and suddenly they will claim it was actually good all this whole time.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That
100%
definitely happens.
Like, look at Tom with his warp talents.
Well, yeah, but look at fucking Centurions.
Yeah.
Like
I refuse to buy Centurions. I know that they're good, but I refuse to buy them. Yeah, the thing is, though, I think I'm also in a minority when I know something's good, but I'll also refuse to buy it because it's like we've said this before. Like, don't get too used to things being really, really good.
No,
because if something's really, really good or seems a bit broken or seems too good to be true, the chances are Games Workshop will batter the shit out of it.
It's arguably a fucking great time to just take shit you like.
Yeah, and I think, like, I was having this discussion with Paddy the other day about, because we were talking about how to make like seriously competitive Black Templars. And obviously the competitive builds, as discussed by the internet and the meta chasers, as it were, as we were saying, is that you run 2 Repulsor Executioners. And I don't think that they're that good. But a guy went top 8 and he was running 2. So I was like, well, I'll have another look at it, but I still don't rate it as like a good catch-all unit. And everyone's like, you got to use this thing because this guy did really, really well with it. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
Also,
that's important as well, right?
Yeah. Also, the other thing that immediately puts me off it is it's a £60 tank.
What is the Executioner?
Yeah, the Repulsor. It's more expensive than the normal Repulsor, and it's only got a slightly bigger turret, essentially. So I'm like, I refuse to spend 120 quid on 2 tanks that I don't even want.
Okay.
You know? I'm like, maybe I'll get Repulsor Executioners for something like Imperial Fists, because a massive anti-tank transport tank for sieges makes sense in Imperial Fists. But I don't necessarily want it in my Templars. I'm like, ultimately, by doing Templars, I want to Land Raider Crusader because that's the Templar tank. It's dog shit though. So I'll meet in the middle and take my favourite Land Raider, the Redeemer. You know, it's more expensive than the Repex. You know, and it's more expensive than the Crusader, but I just love it.
I do in fact love a Land Raider Redeemer.
You know, I want to get a Crusader for the Templars because I want to run it and have fun with it because that's the Templar tank. I've got the Templar doors. I just need the tank. You know, and that's the kind of thing that I'd love to go to a tournament. You know, and go. You know, 5-0 with a Land Raider Crusader. I think that would be hilarious.
It would be hilarious, especially because Crusaders are terrible.
Because they're terrible, and I want people to be like, how did he do it?
Yeah, triple Crusaders.
And I'll be like, jokes on you, cheaters.
Right, chat, we've got 1 super chat to go, and we're still on 69 members. And I know it's a funny number. I do. I'm aware it's a funny number. But I'd love to hit target. As we say, thank you, Ivy, for the $5. Plasma weapons are cool, especially on vehicles. How viable are Lehman Russ executioners at the moment? And what about plasma sponsors in general? That is a question I will hand over to you, Sam.
I rate them. For me personally, I think it's the best Lehman Russ variant. People will say it's the bog standard Lehman Russ, the battle cannon, because it re-rolls hits re-rolls hit rolls of 1, and then it re-rolls all hit rolls when it's shooting an objective. But that ultimately is only really good for the 2 multi-melters on the side. Whereas I really like the Plasma Executioner because it's got a decent high damage. It's AP 3 when you overcharge. It's damage 3. And then you can obviously double up the plasma cannons on the side. So it gets you like a really high AP, which is missing from the bog standard Lehman Russ, which is only AP 1.
Is it?
Yeah. The battle cannon's only AP 1.
I thought the battle cannon was AP 2.
No. you can get it to AP2 with overlapping fields of fire, but it's not as good as it used to be. Because now you pick an infantry unit and a tank, and they get like a bonus when they shoot at something.
I won't lie to
before, you'd pick a unit and everyone got +1 AP versus
I legitimately thought it was AP2. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think the Plasma Executioner for me is the best mainline Lehman Russ. The Vanquisher is my personal favourite Lehman Russ. If you're going, what's your favourite Lehman Russ?
What's your favourite Lehman Russ?
My favourite Lehman Russ is the Vanquisher. Right, because it's the coolest.
Okay.
It's a cool long dong anti-tank sleek hunter of a tank.
It's a long dong, isn't it?
And all my Vanquishers just had a las cannon and a turret because I was like, I'm not paying for heavy bolters. Don't need them. Got a long dong turret. I'm here to hunt tanks, not people.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. I think the AP2 is the sweet spot now. But AP3 also guarantees that if someone has access to a form of armor of contempt, you're basically putting whatever it is.
Like if they're especially if they're in cover and they've got armor of contempt, like AP2 basically means they've just got their normal save, whereas AP3 still guarantees you to get some damage through. But the sad fact is that nowadays you don't need Lehman Russes anymore. Just the Dawn. That's the sad thing. I would love a plasma variant of the Dawn.
No, I don't know if I would.
Right, because they don't sell it anymore. Because Krieg had one of the best versions of the Baneblade. Had a massive fucking plasma cannon on it. It was the plasma cannon from a Warhound, basically flipped and mounted inside a Baneblade chassis.
Which is a problem if it goes off, but Kriegers don't care.
If it overheats, then
Kriegers don't care.
You just dust, right?
Exactly.
I really want to get the new Krieg book when that comes out as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the Krieg series that they're doing at the moment.
Right.
But I think a plasma version of the Dawn is something I would love to see. And maybe like a tank hunter version of the Dawn. So it's like more low profile, one long main turret.
I'm here for it. Right, there we go. 2 hours done, Joe. Bang. I was really hoping we'd get to that 100 members, but we stopped on the funny number. And then no one else wanted to help us.
Did you guys hear of the Games Workshop model range STL leak? I heard about it through Mikey from that other channel. But if I'm 100% honest, I have blocked that other channel.
What other channel?
You know, the one that's always like Games Workshop's killed Warhammer.
Oh,
Warhammer's terrible. Warhammer's awful.
Yeah.
Games Workshop's killing itself.
It's the worst company in game ever, but you won't find a title that does well without it in the title.
Yeah, I've blocked it because I was like, I hate this content because it's just constant naysaying and shitting on a company, but you wouldn't have a business if you weren't shitting on this company.
I get it.
And I was just like, I can't watch this anymore. I don't think it holds water. Apparently there was an STL leak of some of the files that Games Workshop used to create stuff. But I'm just like, it got leaked. No one's making any real money from it. And we've had this discussion before. I don't really like 3D printed stuff, right, in terms of like direct Games Workshop copies. I'm like, make your own stuff, do upgrade packs. If Games Workshop doesn't sell shoulder pads for Red Scorpions, make Red Scorpion shoulder pads, right? They don't do it from Lentors, do it from the Mentors. If you want a different style head, there's a guy that does really cool Krieg expansion packs for their current model line. But when they're going like, cool, I've stolen Games Workshop's IP and I'm just reprinting the exact model, it's a bit iffy.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't think it's true. I don't think it's a true story.
Cool.
Because I think more people would have heard about it if they had.
Yeah. Anyway, you're amazing. Thank you for hanging out with us today, chat. I appreciate all you wonderful people out there chatting to us about this. I think it's an important thing. Like Dan saying he appreciates competitive getting some love. We often can blame competitive people for a lot of the problems. You have to remember that they don't write the rules, Games Workshop do. So that's really where the issue truly lies. And for the most part, the hyper-competitive people out there that do manage to make it all through the whole weekend are pretty decent human beings.
Yeah.
And they're quite nice to go chat to as well, for the majority anyway. So hopefully you've enjoyed the show. If you have, please make sure you smash that like button before we disappear. I do notice that nearly 200 of you have hit like already, so thank you so much. It means tonight we've only got to get 131 members, Joe, to make up for this afternoon.
131 members to go. I don't know the words to that song.
No, evidently.
Oh.
Hopefully, like I said, you've enjoyed it. If you have, stick a comment on the show afterwards. I try and get back to a few of them nowadays because it's better for the algorithm.
Yeah.
We are live tonight with a live game of 40k. Joe will be dressed as a pickle.
Yeah.
Playing orcs. I don't know how that's going to work. I hope you can even see the dice out of that thing. And then I think I'm going to try and take something narratively fun Ultramarines.
Yeah.
That's what I'm feeling right now.
Plus, a good excuse to get that orc terrain I painted out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So hopefully you guys enjoy that tonight at 7:30. If not, we have After Dark tomorrow at 9 p.m. And then we have the weekend and we're back on Monday to continue with the glorious content for the Emperor. Yeah?
Emperor.
Thank you so much for watching, you wonderful people. Hopefully we'll see you tonight. If not, hang on, Joe, because it locks itself. If not, we'll see you in the next one.
Bye, have a wonderful time.